form, but a little rough on the landing. He may have to settle for the bronze.
Well, if you can't be with the one you love, love the one you're with, love the one you're with.
Hello everyone, welcome to Settle for the Bronze. This is ARUD 007 here.
With TYCLOPS.
And TYCLOPS. What movie are we discussing this time?
We are discussing Prometheus.
We were wrong. We were so wrong. Alright, this movie came out in 2012, directed by Ridley Scott. TYCLOPS, our scorekeeper. What are the scores for this movie?
We have got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, a 73% critic score on Rotten Tomato, and a 69% audience score, and a 65% Metacritic score. And I'll go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, and I'll go ahead and give our bi-weekly award for worst review of the decade. Lawrence,
you keep changing that every time.
Eventually, I'm gonna get it down. I'll come up with a consistent name there. Lawrence Topman of the Charlotte Observer writes, "It's clumsy revisionism. As storytelling, its simplistic characters and ludicrous situations would embarrass a ninth grader shooting a short film on a digital phone. Not one of its alleged revelations has the power to surprise." Did he watch this movie?
And I thought Prometheus was confusing. The review is even more confusing.
No. I mean, it's going for the characters and the story, but there isn't. If there is one thing you can't do with this movie to criticize it, it's compare it to being filmed badly.
Yeah,
because it's freaking pretty.
All right, let's get back to the scores.
Yeah.
Do you think the scores are a good measure?
Kinda, yeah. Usually I don't. Usually I feel like the scores are too low or too high for movies. Like I don't think there's been any movie where I've straight up agreed with the scores.
Yeah.
This one I kind of think that's fair. You know, maybe like a somewhere in the C range, something like that. I don't know.
I guess we'll go ahead and get our recommendations out.
Yeah.
If we can figure this out, I think we realized when we were discussing this before we started discussing it now.
Yes.
That this is probably the hardest movie for us to rate so far in Settle for the Bronze. It rides the line.
I guess I'd recommend it. If nothing else, because it's entertaining and it's fun to watch, but I feel like it's not really that important to the Alien franchise overall. I don't know. We'll get into that, but that's just...
I'd recommend it for visuals only.
Yeah.
Visuals and acting.
Yeah, that's true. Acting is good.
We'll get into it. The plot, it's all over the place.
Yes.
You know, problems with that. This movie is just all over the place.
Yeah.
In terms of quality. I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around it. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't really work well as part of the Alien franchise. It really depends on how the sequels are going to turn out.
Yeah.
Which we're still waiting on them to officially announce Prometheus 2 at this point, but Ridley Scott keeps saying...
But Alien 5's a thing.
Yes.
Which they went through with, I guess.
But it doesn't matter because the film should work as a standalone.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Which is one of the biggest problems of the movie.
Yeah.
I guess we'll go ahead and get into it.
All right.
Full on spoilers from here
Spoiler
on.
zone.
If you haven't seen this movie, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, maybe they're doing better things in their lives because it's not that great.
Like clicking on a video which reviews a movie that they haven't seen. That's 3 years old.
Yeah. When you put it like that, I don't see how we don't have like 1 million subscribers.
Good point.
It's good stuff.
Like and subscribe if Prometheus is your favorite movie of all time.
We reviewed it for you, loyal fan.
TYCLOPS, I guess, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah.
Where to begin?
All right, so I'll go ahead and kind of put my general thoughts about this movie. It kind of feels like we were shorted out of a middle. That's kind of was my first impression. Was it feels like the first part of the movie, and the first half of the movie is a nice, fairly slow build. It feels a lot like Alien.
I agree.
It spends more time on the planet than Alien did and stuff like that. But overall, it feels a lot like that. And then after what was the
Shaw.
Hom Tardy's name?
Oh, never
We
mind.
should probably
Her
clarify.
husband. Her husband.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should probably clarify that we both agree that one of the main characters for the first half of the
Holloway.
movie, yes, looks a lot like Tom Hardy, and
Yeah.
we began referring to him as Hom Tardy at some point in the movie. His wife goes into a coma. I don't remember any about his name.
It's
in
right
this movie.
after he gets burned alive, and she's
Yeah.
freaking out, and she ends up going unconscious for a long time.
Yeah. The main female character in the movie, and she goes into a coma, and I feel like they did say how long she was in a coma or something. Maybe I don't know.
They did.
I don't know. Something happened.
The amount of days that pass is very weird. 'Cause
Yeah,
it
yeah,
says
when
they
you-
get there on like December 23rd, and then it ends on New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Well, whatever.
And when she wakes up, and it's actually a very cool scene where she like rips a alien face hugger, I guess, but it's a Prometheus style face hugger.
It's a proto face hugger.
There we go. She rips or like gets that
The
surgically
infamous scene where she has the C-section.
Yeah. That happens, and like from that point on, the movie, it feels like the entire second half of the movie is supposed to be the third act, I guess. Like that's kind of what it feels like to me. Is that the middle part where they develop some of the side characters and like they make you care a little more about
Develop in quotes.
Yeah. They make well. That's what I'm saying is there wasn't one.
Yeah.
I'm saying the middle part where they should have developed some side characters and made you care a little more about the ultimate ending and these characters dying.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of didn't happen. And so it was somewhere around that point where I was just like, I don't entirely care what's happening here. I mean, it's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. But I don't feel like... I feel like any ties to the Alien movies have already been established, and we already know kind of what the deal with that is. Because it kind of hints that the engineers created the aliens, I guess. And somehow they ended up on the alien planet, and that's what happened. But then we're left without the answers to those questions.
And that's the problem with Ridley Scott wanting to make it separate from Alien,
Yeah.
but still in the same universe. Well, unless it connects back to Alien, we don't really care.
Unless the plot is very good, but the
Yeah.
plot is all based around answering questions from Alien, but not really answering questions from Alien because they don't actually.
Pull up my Blu-ray.
Talked about this earlier.
Okay, the back...
We have right here a mint condition Blu-ray case for Prometheus.
I take care of my Blu-rays.
Yes, and right on the back here it says questions. Questions will be answered. I present the argument that I suppose questions can mean two questions, but I don't even know if they answer two questions.
I think they answered like half a question. For every question,
they got partial credit.
For every question the movie thinks it answers, it raises like 50 more.
I'm just saying, I think if the movie was taking a quiz, it would have failed because it left most of the quiz blank.
There's a difference between being ambiguous to be clever and interesting and develop conversations and poor screenwriting.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would say this goes with the latter.
Lindelof. I don't hate Lindelof as much.
Let me go on my little tangent.
You do your thing.
So the movie was originally written by John Spates.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know a whole lot of what he does, but he just does science fiction writing, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what he specializes in. I've read that script. It's pretty much a straightforward Alien prequel.
Uh-huh.
I think they have copies online. That's how I found it. I found a PDF of it, and I read it. I was like, seems fine to me. I wish they made this movie. But then Ridley Scott wanted it to be separate. He wanted the whole... It's not really a prequel. We'll make it a prequel with sequels. See, prequel, sequel. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So they brought on David Lindelof because apparently he specializes in leaving stuff ambiguous to piss everyone off.
And we should note here that my personal theory is the reason that happened is because Lost ended in 2010, I believe.
Yes.
And he was we found that he was. These could be wrong. These could be wrong numbers.
Wikipedia
They came from
facts.
the internet. Yes.
Wikipedia facts.
But Lindelof was hired into the production of this in 2010, and I feel like that was kind of just we kind of want a new writer because we want to make this not so much a prequel. We want to make it a half prequel, and so they grabbed this dude who had been working on this very popular television show, and we're like, yeah, get on here.
I've listened to his commentary. Damon Lindelof has a separate commentary track that he does. I think it's with John Spates, but they kind of they edit them together.
Yeah,
but he says, "I love posing questions." No, he actually said that.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that we criticize him for, he admits he does, which is baffling to me. But he poses all these questions, and the whole point of this movie, at least from the audience perspective, should be: who the hell is that space jockey and alien? Where did he come from? Why did he land on that planet? How did the aliens get created?
Yeah.
We get some of that. The film goes halvesies. It goes halvesies.
Yeah, pretty much. We get hints. We get it, and that's what I was saying is, they want it to be separate from. They don't want it to be a direct prequel to Alien, but it feels like they want it to be a direct prequel to Alien.
Yeah, no.
And then, so then it doesn't work as a standalone movie, because half the movie is trying to be a direct prequel to Alien, and half the movie is trying to do its own thing, and that half they kind of just conflict, and you end up with these characters. That they are likable characters. They're well done characters, and they originally start off developing them very well. I think
good dialogue.
Yeah. And the dialogue throughout the movie is good, but I feel like they start developing them, and it really works. It really clicks.
Yeah.
And then at some point, like I was saying, they hit it where it feels like we missed out on a chunk of character development for all these kind of side characters that end up dying or getting sacrificed or whatever. And so it's like, I don't know. I don't care about these characters because I haven't spent much time with them, and it feels like the movie didn't really care about them either.
I think once Holloway dies, and she has to have the C-section to get the alien out of her, I think the movie severely drops in quality. For me.
Yeah, I mean,
because it feels like every event that happens starting with Holloway's death does not matter.
Yeah, that's fair to some extent, I think.
She addresses his death a couple of times, but it's not like...
that I don't have or finish your complaint.
Continue.
I suppose I know what you're saying, so I want to...
Like, that would be fine if it were the only area that it did this. Mm-hmm. And you can argue, like you do, that it kind of makes sense.
Because the finale is... because the second half feels like a finale, it's rushing.
Yeah.
And so it feels like she never has time.
The pacing severely picks up, and I think it hurts the movie a lot. I agree. It should be kind of... And that's exactly what I'm saying about the middle part. We're missing some sort of key middle section here, because the first part feels like it's slowly ramping up, the action and everything. Yeah.
And then we jump, and it feels like we jump up, 10 notches.
We go from low pace to high pace, and there's no medium.
It feels like we jump up 10 notches, and then from that from that higher level, it just ramps up like crazy.
Yeah.
It feels like we're missing part of the curve there.
Yeah. But then she has the C-section, and that's not brought up again until the very end.
Yeah. The only consequence is the fact that she's injured the whole time.
She doesn't even tell anyone.
Yeah.
And like she's having the conversation with Idris Elba, and he's like, "Oh, this was a military installation. They've been..."
Which again feels like a middle part got lost somewhere. Feels like that we missed why he came to that conclusion.
Him and his men just fought Fifield, who went crazy with the black goo in his face.
I guess.
And he came back to murder them
on fire and ran him over, and then the truck ran off for some reason.
I'll get into that in a minute. But, they come in and talk, and wouldn't he be like, "Oh, Fifield went nuts. We just had to kill him because he came back to life." And she'd be like, "Well, that's weird. I just had to pull an alien out of my stomach." They don't have that conversation.
Oh, golly gee, what a world we live in.
And then you get to the end, and it's like, well, everyone's dead. And it's like...
I guess that's why she didn't tell him. The plot didn't need her to.
And that's my point.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh... Okay.
It's more like, well, what does the plot demand these characters do?
It's a depressing movie, but not in the way Alien was depressing.
Or Alien 3.
Or Alien 3. But we've discussed Alien 3. Well, so let's leave Alien 3 out.
No, let's discuss it some more, even though we discussed it for an hour.
Yeah. No. But Alien, the pacing works, is it ramps up very, very cleanly.
Perfect pacing,
Yes. It's very well done. There's slowness. It does.
It takes its time. Yeah. It doesn't feel the need to rush, even in the second half.
And so the characters that get killed eventually, we feel like we know them. And this is also an argument you brought up that I'm starting to agree with. I didn't agree with you as much at first. That they have too many characters.
Oh, there's way too many characters.
Also, see, do we really meet 17 people?
No, see, I think they're interchangeable. You just see people walking around in the background.
Well, yeah, because there were like, I feel like there were like, I could probably count them all, but wait, don't have time for that. But like, it feels like there's probably about like, somewhere between like 7 and 10 characters. Ballparking that are named and like discussed.
Yeah,
and we don't see like the others are just kind of wandering around in the background. And because of that, they never become important, despite the fact that they, I guess they all die before they blow up the ship, because otherwise they just kind of were like, yeah, screw you guys, you don't get a choice. And then they killed half the crew
even though they give Charlize Theron a chance to get off the ship.
Yeah. So it's like, what's that?
It really doesn't feel like 17 people get killed off.
Yeah, no, 17 people definitely do not
I guess
get killed
15, not including Fassbender and Noomi Rapace's character.
Yeah, but that's definitely not that many people get killed off.
Well, my problem isn't just...
Plus the old man's there.
Yeah.
And he gets killed off, so it's like...
Well, my problem's not just that. It's that Alien had like the perfect
and that's what I was
characters.
getting. That's what I was about to get back to. Is that it had fewer characters, and it took more time with the pacing, so it was able to develop these characters, and we actually cared about it when they died.
Yeah.
And this time, because it feels like there's just sort of this jump, it just kind of we lose any interest in the characters somewhere along the way. Like we're knocked out of the movie. It feels like at one point, and then we're just kind of like watching these guys get killed off.
We're just watching things happen.
It's
we're
almost
not feeling them.
It's almost obligatory at that point.
Yeah,
obligatory. I don't know pronunciations. But it almost feels like the movie just feels like, oh well, we have to kill off everybody else now.
It's an Alien movie,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
no, it's disconnected, right? No, it's a prequel, right?
I guess that, but that's what it feels like. It's like, oh yeah, there's still people lying around. Nah, this person gets run over by a giant crashing ship. Other guys blow themselves up. Okay, we're good. We only have one left. Awesome. And that's what it feels like. It feels like they kind of just throw that there for the sake of throwing it there.
And that's what I lead to probably the biggest problem with the movie. And this goes along with is it a prequel or is it disconnected? Yeah. It has a big case of mistaken identity.
Yeah.
It doesn't know what it wants to be. And I think...
Which, to be fair, it's better than some movies we've seen like that, because the tone is consistent.
Oh, yeah, it's consistent, yeah.
So it does feel like the same movie, it just doesn't know what it wants to accomplish, even though it already knows, even though it's figured itself out.
But I would say, even in terms of genre, it doesn't know what it wants to be. Because other than a couple of minor parts, like maybe the C-section and the worm scene, it's not scary.
I felt like it was fairly on par with, I don't know, maybe Alien stuff, like in the freakiness of it. I mean, it doesn't maintain that tension.
Yeah.
But it is the spots where it does try and go for terror. I feel like it usually hits it fairly well.
I disagree.
Because
it's got like 2 scenes that really are meant for horror. And then
there's the whole C-section scene. There's the worm scene.
The little moment where Holloway looks in the mirror and he sees the tiny little worm. Yeah.
The whole thing. I feel like the whole thing leading up to him dying and getting lit on fire and stuff. I thought that was well done. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it so much in that regard. I felt like it was a little more. I mean, it didn't know as much when it wanted to be as Alien and Aliens did.
Yeah.
But it felt like it knew the direction for the most part in genre, just not so much in ultimate.
Well, hear me out. I'm just talking one genre. I'm talking the rest that it tries to cover. It doesn't work as an action movie because there's not a whole lot of action in it.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to Aliens. The Aliens is all action. Yeah. So. And then, I guess the third one would be science fiction. And here come the script problems. Because, okay, you're introducing these big ideas, and you say you want to explore them, but you don't actually explore them.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't...
I feel like it's not so much that it's trying to split between several genres as it's
I'm saying it doesn't. I'm saying it doesn't work properly as each of them.
Yeah. That it could pull off 2 or 3 genres.
Yeah.
Like combined genres, it just doesn't. Because it doesn't really commit to any of them.
The objectives that go with each genre.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying every movie has to fit this. I'm just saying movies like this, it tends to help when you follow those those objectives.
There are guidelines in place for a reason like that.
I mean, look at the original Alien movie.
Yeah.
There you go. But because it doesn't accomplish any of the objectives of any of these genres, it doesn't... I don't know what to make of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, it's supposed to be sci-fi.
Uh-huh.
But like I said, sci-fi typically, you want to ask questions and then answer them or explore them. Yeah. High-end sci-fi is what I mean. And that's specifically what this wants to be. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought on Lindelof to write it.
Yeah.
That hack fraud Lindelof. I think he's worse than Orsi and Kurtzman, but that's just me. Orsi and Kurtzman, I know what to expect. Well, to be fair, I know what to expect with Lindelof, but he makes me angrier. So.
Okay.
Little tangent. But, it doesn't work as an action movie, like I said. It's got the one scene where Fifield's beating the crap out of everyone, and they pull out laser guns for some reason. Which brings me to another question.
Yes?
Does it bother you that the technology on this ship is so super advanced compared to the Nostromo?
You brought that up. I don't have much of a problem with it because I think you can make it a fair argument that the Nostromo was not made to be like a scientific, well-funded scientific expedition. It was more of a
cargo ship.
It's like
a cargo ship.
Yeah, it's what's a good way of comparing it?
A Lamborghini and a trucker.
I mean, yeah. That's kind of what I'm going for. It's something along those lines where, one is obviously meant to be more, have more funds and be generally of more quality and have more reason for more technology.
Yeah.
Better technology. It does look a little too clean. I agree with you. Compared with what we see on the Nostromo. Like, even though the Nostromo is supposed to be this kind of, like, minor ship thing and whatever, it's still... The way the technology looks, it's obvious that it never really was, like, shiny.
It's too perfect.
Yeah.
My problem is, like I said, it's too perfect. But there's holograms everywhere. And that bothers me, because the first 2 Alien movies, actually all of them really, they stick with like computer screens. And the fact that you just have like holograms everywhere, like they have the whole the desk with the hologram and it's mapping out the whole facility, that kind of bothers me, because you're going a bit too far.
I agree. I mean,
it really feels like Ridley Scott was just like, oh yeah, that looks cool, put it in, put it in.
That's still a forgivable plot hole, I guess, for me, because
it's not a plot hole. It's just
plot inconsistency, because it feels like
universe inconsistency.
Yes. You could argue that the Nostromo was created a long time ago and has just always been in production because it's just like a reliable model of ship or something like that.
And another problem is we don't know the universe.
Yeah. Which brings me to something that I've been feeling about after watching this. I kind of feel about the Alien franchise as a whole, where it doesn't feel like a franchise because we don't have a whole lot of continuation between a lot of the stuff, and
and now
I don't know. It's every movie, or the first 2 movies fit together all right, but the next few, I haven't seen the 4th one, but the 3rd one and Prometheus feel disjointed, and it kind of feels like this franchise, because the first 2 were so good and were completely different like approaches to the concept.
Yeah.
It never established itself as being a certain way and as certain things being the case. It never really set down the guidelines.
It never set a trend.
Yeah. So it feels like this.
Not to say that it needed to do this, but it didn't set up like a formula, like the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
Has a formula, which makes sense for continuing movies.
Mm-hmm.
Which begs the question: not only did Prometheus even need to be made, but did Alien need to have sequels?
Yep.
It's really not a movie that's made for sequels.
No, it's not.
I mean,
Which is kind of what's...
Aliens really works because they went in a totally different direction.
Yeah.
And obviously you and me argue about the quality of Alien 3. I think it's worthwhile and you don't.
Yeah.
But then Alien Resurrection just feels tacked on and pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Much like this film, unless Prometheus 2 somehow manages to work.
It just... it's kind of it. I feel like this movie almost made me lose interest in the Alien like series.
That's
more.
sad.
Yeah, like I mean, I still think the first two are great, but I'm not. I feel like I'm not even as excited for the next one at this point because I'm like, why am I so interested in this series? Is it just because the first two were good? You know, it's. Not only did it raise plot questions, it raised questions in my mind about how I feel about things.
So what you're saying is Lindelof has ruined your interest in the Alien franchise.
I think Lindelof, if he wanted to raise questions, he succeeded in every possible way.
And failed in every other objective he had. Also was to piss everyone off, in which case, good job!
I suppose.
You hack fraud, you?
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about this movie.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the good stuff.
Okay.
Fassbender's great,
Acting
as he always
there
is.
is some good acting in this movie.
Michael
There's some
Fassbender
nice
is obviously the highlight. Noomi Rapace, I think, is great as well.
Yeah.
Although it bothers me that she is so clearly the main character.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of the first Alien...
And she also has... She's not... It feels like they're going for a second Ripley.
Yeah.
And not really getting there because... I mean, they're definitely going for a second Ripley. They set up a lot of parallels. And they're not really getting there because the way they have her set up. Ripley originally, for one, she had a little bit more personality in the way she like joked around and stuff like that, and she also felt a little more strong in general. Like she was able, or was more.
She could hold her own.
Yeah, she was. I mean, and whatever her name is in this movie,
Shaw.
Yeah, Shaw. She has moments like that. Again, the movie didn't hold my interest quite that well.
Yeah.
But she has moments where she kind of shows streaks of confidence and kind of rebellion and no, I'm right. But also it's kind of the fact that Ripley, we knew Ripley was right the whole time. Like all the decisions she makes that go against what the crew wants, she is totally right and justified in doing them. While here, her decisions are the thing that leads to the thing being awakened.
Which goes to the common complaint that the scientists are stupid and they make stupid decisions, which is true.
Yeah. I don't think it's quite that terrible.
It's not that bad, but it's
still,
noticeable.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender's just pressing and touching everything in sight.
Because you know what it almost feels like? It feels like they split. What's the Bond
Charlize
captain? Yeah, well the Vickers.
Yes.
Yeah. It feels like they split Ripley's character between her and Shaw.
Oh my God, you're right.
Because like she's got like the rebellion and like the whole scene where it's like, no, I'm not letting him back on.
Which very much mirrors the first movie.
Yeah. And
oh my God, you're totally right.
Like it feels while Shaw gets the kind of heroic part of it and the more personable part of it.
She gets the sympathetic side.
Yeah. And it doesn't work at all because they make one half of her. They make half a character the main character of the movie.
Well, the problem I had, which you interrupted me and went on that tangent with...
Tangents are fun, though.
I'm just messing with you.
But wait, I have to say...
Is that a joke?
Yes. It is.
Okay. Well, my problem is, the first Alien movie...
Yeah.
You don't know who the main character is. You don't know who the protagonist is until Ripley's the last survivor.
That's true.
Which made it interesting. Because you get to the end and like, whoa! I didn't know she was going to be the last one to survive. And this one is clearly, Noomi Rapace is the main character.
It's
odds are she will make it to the very end.
It's very easy to predict where they're going with killing off characters and such.
Which really bothers me when they're saying we wanted to not do an Alien prequel to avoid the tropes of the Alien movies.
Yeah.
You fell right into the tropes. If you're gonna be original, be original. That's why I don't like this we're disconnected from it crap.
I agree.
It looks pretty.
It does look very good.
I know we've been bashing the movie.
Yeah.
We've really been bashing it.
A little bit.
We don't hate it.
I don't think I'm gonna think about it much from here on out.
Yeah.
A little bit like Alien 3, but worse. I like it less than Alien 3, I'll give you that. I'll give you that, ARUD.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I thought you hated Alien 3.
I think... Alien 3 still made me care more.
That's true. See, that's the worst thing a film can do. If you don't care...
Yeah.
If you're angry at it, that's one thing. At least it's getting a reaction from you.
Yeah, it's getting to you. You're invested.
Yes, but if you just don't care, what's the point? It's one of the prettiest looking movies I've ever seen. I'll go ahead and get that out of the way. Get it out of the way. We're almost done! Yeah. This and Interstellar are the prettiest movies I've ever seen. I know that's weird. Because they're both space epics.
And also because I feel like we've mentioned Christopher Nolan in literally every one of these discussions. What can we say we like the guy?
If I don't mention Christopher Nolan, what is the point?
The whole point of these discussions is to secretly make you all love Christopher Nolan.
If you don't already, what's wrong with
our
you?
plan?
But here's the thing. When I look at Interstellar, that's raising big questions, and it's actually trying to answer them. Like, you may not like Interstellar, but at least it's answering its questions.
It's ambitious, and it
like,
I agree.
I feel like Prometheus's goals
should be the same as Interstellar.
No, are what Interstellar accomplished.
Yeah, that's actually really fair.
I know that's a weird comparison, but that's really what it feels like.
It's just... Yeah, it falls short. And
I feel like you can only watch this movie on the most superficial of levels.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because they put so much supposed effort into making it like a deep thinking type of movie. And it really does not work like that. There's editing issues. There's deleted scenes that fill in plot holes. Like, just minuscule ones. Like the two guys that run away because they're afraid of the dead aliens. And then the first time they see the worm, they get all excited. Little things like that. That the deleted scenes help answer. But they don't fix the overall problems of the movie.
Yeah.
I really got to put the blame on Lindelof, not only him, and Ridley Scott, because I feel like Ridley Scott really didn't know what he wanted to do with the movie.
And this kind of goes back to the way that you typically view movies more from an outside perspective, and I try and... I have a much better, or much easier time separating what...
Better?
Yes. I have a much better viewpoint, that's what I'm saying. No, I have a much easier time of separating what the background of a movie is. But even then, I still... It doesn't do much for me.
I just happen to be right this time.
Yeah.
I just happen to be right.
Just accidentally, almost. You
know,
know,
okay.
It was just by chance.
Yeah.
It'll never happen again.
It's only Lindelof. Only he can do it.
Yeah. He is the last true hero.
All right, so overall... I might have to change my recommendation. Go for like I said, go for it on the most superficial levels. You might be able to enjoy it.
If
music's good. Oh, no. Watch the trailer. Don't watch the movie. Watch it. No, it is one of the best trailers I've ever seen. Watch the trailer. Yeah. Don't watch the movie.
If you have something where you want to leave a movie on in the background that's mildly interesting, if you watch it for 5 minutes, then go with this. That's all I got.
This might be the most split I have been on any of the movies we've discussed so far.
The more I think about it, because this isn't the worst movie we've reviewed by far, I don't think, but like...
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, now that you mention it. I don't know.
In terms of script issues, it's probably one of the worst.
It might be, yeah. Yeah, that's true. But I'm saying it's... I don't feel like it's the worst, but because of the way it didn't draw me in the slightest...
Yeah.
It might be one of the worst, just because I wouldn't really have any interest in seeing this again.
Now, the real question is, which would you rather take again? Alien 3 or Prometheus?
I think this movie made me appreciate Alien 3 more.
Oh
the
my
more I think
God.
about it. Yeah. At least that was a movie. I mean, like, that...
This is 2/3 of a movie.
Yeah. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So...
And it really hinders on how well... If they end up making Prometheus 2 and 3 and however long they want to keep milking this...
Which is a terrible way to do it unless you specifically are like...
It's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's Lord of the Rings. We're doing these 3 movies. We're done. We know we're...
Harry Potter 7 and all the other ones, you know? Mockingjay, whatever.
Hunger Games. Part 2 of 2.5.
Yeah. Exactly.
Little Red Letter Media joke right there. Oh, thank you.
But yeah, that's
I think we're done.
Pretty much.
I'm done.
I think we've hit every point.
I'm so glad I have it on Blu-ray. It looks nice.
It does look nice. I agree.
Make a nice screensaver.
There you go. There you go. Just it's constantly.
Just have the movie playing on the background of your computer. You'll never get bored.
Whenever you switch back, it will just be like, oh yeah, that scene. I remember.
As long as it's muted.
Yeah. That was a thing. Moving on.
All right. Yeah, we're not too hot on this one. You might want to avoid.
Yeah. I think that's a solid non-recommendation.
Unless you're in for visuals.
Yeah.
That's about it. Okay.
All right.
We're done here. TYCLOPS, what are we talking about next time?
We are talking about Watchmen.
Oh, God, not another 3.5 hour movie. I don't think I can take much more of this.
Wait.
And I actually like that movie. The spoilers.
The next review will come in 7 parts as we review every 20 minutes of the movie.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, totally. It is.
All right, everybody.
Like and subscribe if I am a video splitting genius.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and maybe you could get more enjoyment out of Prometheus than we do. So, good for you. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a couple weeks for our discussion on Watchmen. See ya. Over the place.
Yeah.
In terms of quality, I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around it. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't really work well as part of the Alien franchise. It really depends on how the sequels are going to turn out.
Yeah.
Which we're still waiting on them to officially announce Prometheus 2 at this point, but Ridley Scott keeps saying.
But Alien 5's a thing.
Yes.
Which they went through with, I guess.
But it doesn't matter because the film should work as a standalone.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Which is one of the biggest problems of the movie.
Yeah.
I guess we'll go ahead and get into it.
All right.
Full on spoilers from here
Spoiler
on.
zone.
If you haven't seen this movie, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, maybe they're doing better things in their lives because it's not that great.
Like clicking on a video which reviews a movie that they haven't seen. That's 3 years old.
Yeah. When you put it like that, I don't see how we don't have like 1 million subscribers.
Good point.
It's good stuff.
Like and subscribe.
Lawrence,
you keep changing that every time.
Eventually, I'm gonna get it down. I'll come up with a consistent name there. Lawrence Topman of the Charlotte Observer writes, "It's clumsy revisionism. As storytelling, its simplistic characters and ludicrous situations would embarrass a 9th grader shooting a short film on a digital phone. Not one of its alleged revelations has the power to surprise." Did he watch this movie?
And I thought Prometheus was confusing. The review is even more confusing.
No. I mean, it's going for the characters and the story, but there isn't. If there is one thing you can't do with this movie to criticize it, it's compare it to being filmed badly.
Yeah,
because it's freaking pretty.
All right, let's get back to the scores.
Do
you think the scores are a good measure?
Kinda, yeah. Usually I don't. Usually I feel like the scores are too low or too high for movies. Like I don't think there's been any movie where I've straight up agreed with the scores.
Yeah.
This one I kind of.
Ooh, nice form, but a little rough on the landing. He may have to settle for the bronze.
Well, if you can't be with the one you love, love the one you're with. Love the one you're with.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Settle for the Bronze. This is ARUD 007 here.
With TYCLOPS.
And TYCLOPS. What movie are we discussing this time?
We are discussing Prometheus.
We were wrong. We were so wrong. Alright, this movie came out in 2012, directed by Ridley Scott. TYCLOPS, our scorekeeper. What are the scores for this movie?
We have got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, a 73% critic score on Rotten Tomato, and a 69% audience score, and a 65% Metacritic score. And I'll go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, and I'll go ahead and give our bi-weekly award for worst review of the decade.
Prometheus is your favorite movie of all time.
We reviewed it for you, loyal fan.
TYCLOPS, I guess, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah.
Where to begin?
All right, so I'll go ahead and kind of put my general thoughts about this movie. It kind of feels like we were shorted out of a middle. That's kind of was my first impression. Was it feels like the first part of the movie, and the first half of the movie is a nice, fairly slow build. It feels a lot like Alien. You know,
I agree.
And it spends more time on the planet than Alien did and stuff like that. But overall, it feels a lot like that. And then after. What was the
Shaw?
Hom Tardy's name?
Oh, never
we
mind.
should probably
Her
clarify.
husband. Her husband.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should probably clarify that we both agree that one of the main characters for the first half of the movie, yes, looks a lot like Tom Hardy, and we began referring to him as Hom Tardy at some point in the movie. His I think that's fair. You know, maybe like a somewhere in the C range, something like that. I don't know.
I guess we'll go ahead and get our recommendations out.
Yeah.
If we can figure this out, I think we realized when we were discussing this before we started discussing it now.
Yes.
That this is probably the hardest movie for us to rate so far in Settle for the Bronze. It rides the line.
I guess I'd recommend it. If nothing else, because it's entertaining and it's fun to watch, but I feel like it's not really that important to the Alien franchise overall. I don't know. We'll get into that, but that's just...
I'd recommend it for visuals only.
Yeah.
Visuals and acting.
Yeah, that's true. Acting is good.
We'll get into it. The plot, it's all over the place.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, problems with that. This movie is just all over.